Chad, I need you to do that. Okay. Hey, we are live.
Hi.
Welcome everyone to Making Waves. This is episode 11, so we are one louder
Wow.
this week.
Heyo.
And obviously, welcome everyone on this Wednesday evening. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. And we have a very special guest tonight. You guys know him, you love him. This is Ben Wells from Blackstone Cherry. Ben, thank you for joining us.
What is going on? Good to see you all.
Hey guys out there in Shiprock land, if you're following us on Shiprocked Facebook Live tonight, and this is your first time to follow us, as you're watching tonight, you can go into the comment section, and if you have a question for Ben, by all means, please post that, and we'll try to get to that. But remember, keep it within a certain rating. Anywho, listen, you guys, I want to introduce obviously the host here, Chad. You guys know Chad from Wilson. He's also the host of Shiprocked 20, and he'd be host of Shiprocked 21, which will be selling in May of 2021. So what we're going to do now is just basically let two artists talk, and we'll chime in here from time to time. But remember, get those questions in, and let's have fun for the next hour. All right. Thanks, Ben. Chad, it's all you guys.
What's up, Ben?
How's it going, man?
Good to see you, man. You're like the most happiest looking person every time I see you. I've never seen Ben Wells without like an instantaneous smile on his face, and that's infectious, man. So thanks for being here, dude.
I appreciate that. I like to think that I'm a pretty. I try to be as positive as I can, and just be a happy-go-lucky dude. Even though I do stress myself out more times than often, I'm like, hey, it's all good. Is my mantra. It's all good all the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have to imagine that during this time, with the whole band being kind of like sheltered and not able to do the things that you love, and then trying to figure out what's next has got to be quite a stressful period of time to begin with. And then on top of it, here you are talking to our asses on a Wednesday about it all.
Hey,
are you happy? Is everybody happy there?
We're all trying to keep ourselves busy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
Honestly, it's been bizarre. Like for us, we were recording the new album in March of this year. So we were like in the studio recording while the world was shutting down, and we were everything was starting to come out and happen. And I remember being in the studio and looking on our phones, going, "What is going on?" You know what I mean? Like what is we didn't know. We had tours scheduled like coming up in April and May, and some summer stuff in June, and we're supposed to go to the UK next month, actually. And we just kept seeing one thing after another just get either postponed or canceled, postponed, canceled. We're like, oh man, this is a bad deal. But the good thing for us is during the initial onset of the pandemic, we were in the studio. So it kept us it kept us happy and excited and very creative at that time, Also, we were like, we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the year. So let's put everything we have into this record because, we don't know what's going to go on.
Yeah. I have so many questions about this period of time because I didn't know. One of my questions was, when were you recording this record? And the record is called The Human Condition, and if I understand correctly, it comes out on October 30th. So we're about a month out, right?
Yeah.
And you said in March you started to record this. About what time frame? Were you like in the shit, if you will, when it popped up, or had you like even started tracking? Where were you at in the process at that point in time?
We started like on the 1st of March, and I think I remember it being, I remember like the first day of spring was when like, I guess the White House or something had made the announcement like, hey, things are not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The world's about to go crazy. And I think I remember that, but yeah, we started it 1st of March. So we kicked off the album and we're doing it and everything. And then we kind of progressively, as each day went on, there was something else different, popping up in the news and popping up. And we tried to keep ourselves focused on what's happening in the world, but not so much, you know what I mean? Because I'm never one to, I don't want to consume myself so much with just bad news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I can only take so much of it.
Yeah.
So we just kind of kept our nose to the grindstone and was like, okay, let's just, we're in the studio, we're here to do a job. But that, what was going on in the world kind of reflected into what we were doing in the studio, because we were like, well, like I was saying, we knew that we wanted the album to come out this year. So we were like, well, we don't know if we're going to get to tour this year, but if the last thing we do this year is put out an album, it's got to be the absolute best thing we can possibly do. Not that it wouldn't be otherwise, but especially this year,
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't want to be victims of 2020 in any form, and we wanted to have something to show for this year in some way. If we couldn't go out and tour and do this, we had to have something to show for ourselves, and that's
Right.
kind of the energy and maybe some of the frustration and the anger and the confusion that we had from watching some of these things on the news. We just put that energy into the performance on the album.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, real quick, I had a question. You guys have this kind of 1970s work ethic as a band where you the album tour cycles, boom, 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 boom. There's not really too many. I mean, you obviously take a break for family or whatever, but do you feel then releasing this album near the end of the last quarter of the year? I mean, it kind of springboards you into 2021 where you can have a little lag time where, God forbid you're a band that put an album out in April or May. Right? You almost feel like you've got to record a new damn album or do something.
Yes.
It kind of feels like now you can kind of go into your spring, which hopefully you'll find road work. Do you feel like this is actually kind of a nice progression for you guys where you can just kind of move kind of seamlessly?
Honestly, we said the same thing. We said, as much as this sucks for every single band on the planet or artist, on the planet right now, it's like if we had an album come out January, February, March, April, any of that kind of stuff, like we would just be dead in the water to a degree. You know what I mean? We couldn't promote it if we wanted to, like in person, especially in the early days of spring and summer. The silver lining, the blessing behind it all is that we had planned on putting it out at the end of the year. And we talked about it with management and label, like, do we hold this until next year? But then if we hold it till next year, at what point do we go, okay, things are good next year? You know what I mean? So it's like, no, let's just stick with the plan. It gives us something to look forward to. And I think it gives our fans something to look forward to, knowing that there's at least going to be something new coming out, something to be excited about. We all have to have something to be excited about in life. And
1,000%.
Yeah. And we put this out there. We're like, look, we're still going to release it. We might not be able to tour behind it like we want to, or like we normally would, but we still have to have something going on. We still have to keep ourselves active and in the public eye to some degree.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's crucial too. I mean, like you said, the idea of your happiness, it transcends when you're talking about music and the idea of what we do as a living. It transcends way further than you can ever imagine it transcending. So if you guys are holding tight and sad and you're like, we don't know what to do with this beautiful creation that we made during this downtime, and your fans are going to feel, they're going to see the emptiness out there. They're going to see when they go to your website or your socials and they don't see activity, their hearts are going to hurt even further. So even if you don't get to react to the reaction, I mean, to the release the same as you normally would in a traditional non-pandemic year, at least putting that glimmer of happiness inside of yourself will spread itself.
Well, as our job and our responsibility, I mean, we're all human beings and we all go through these different things. We're all feeling these things together. But I firmly believe that if you're in the entertainment industry, as one of my favorite artists, Jimmy Buffett, once said, we're all court jesters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what we are. Our job is to entertain. And even though everybody's in this together, literally, we still have to entertain and keep people happy. That's what people turn to music, even on a good day. You know what I mean? In good years where everything is going great, people still have bad days and they have to turn to music or movies or something to take their mind off of what they're going through at work or personal or whatever. So even though we're all dealing with it together, it's like we still have a responsibility to ourselves and to our fans out there to,
one of our shiprockers. I'm sorry. One of our shiprockers actually kind of tied in a point where you were saying, Ben, is like this is Kelly. She's stoked when she can get a CD or the music before the tour happens, because then all of a sudden it becomes part of you. You know the songs, you know when to sing during the chorus when you're there, so you're not coming into it going, well, what song is this? Oh, this sounds pretty good. I'll go get the album. I already know it by heart. This is going to be amazing. So there definitely is a bright side to all of that. And she pointed it out. So thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
So I just want to let you know that people think that way, obviously. So
it's a very good point. There's no better feeling than going out, and there's a weird feeling when you go out and tour. If you put out a song maybe for a month and then you go on tour and you play that song live and you're expecting everybody to be excited, but it's still catching on. Maybe not enough people have heard it yet. And you're like, dang, why is nobody singing this?
Yeah.
So there is a good thing about having it out there in enough time where people can kind of get used to it. Hopefully, by the time we do get back on the road, this new album of ours won't be old,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you can really gauge like how to shape the piece of shit
Yeah.
that you put out in the world.
Right. It's been out too long.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think it's so relevant is the name of the album.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I was going to ask you.
I mean, you kind of like forecasting was amazing on this one.
or did you have another title? I was going to ask because it's perfectly aligned. I don't know where you were at the writing session. That's the writing portion of the record. Were you already done? Boom, signed, sealed, delivered, or did it kind of like shape throughout the process of pandemic starting to record, changing in years? What'd you do? Justin makes a perfect point here.
We had several songs written previously. Some of the songs we had written like years ago that we knew there were just like pieces and ideas and guitar riffs and stuff like that we wanted to kind of revisit. And our first single, Again, was actually written in the studio, like just 2 days before we recorded it, because
Wow.
we knew there was one piece of that song, the bridge, that was written back in 2007. And we were like, man, we liked the other song, but we really loved the bridge from it. So we totally rewrote that whole song around the bridge, all the lyrics, all the melody. And that happened with a few songs on this record that we wrote like on the spot. And I like doing that. I mean, there's a certain degree I love going to the studio, being prepared, knowing what we're doing. And you do, you know. But I love also the stuff that comes off the cuff, that like a song comes out on the record that didn't even exist the day before we went in to record. You know, I love stuff like that because that's the kind of stuff that keeps you fresh, and it keeps it exciting while you're in the studio. You're not just playing, you're not recording songs you've been demoing for the past 6 months, you know.
It's magical.
No, the album title itself came from a conversation we were having a band call back, I guess it was first of the year, talking about at this point we didn't even know we were going to the studio. We were just trying to make plans, you know. We're going, okay. We knew we were doing Shiprock the 1st of February. We had a few shows after that in Florida, and we're like, let's try to get in the studio 1st of March. And we were talking about songs and blah, blah. And I think it was John, our bass player, that said, you know, a lot of these songs that we've got right now in the catalog, you know, are talking about the human condition and things, blah, blah, blah. And Chris said, oh, that's a kind of a cool title. We should kind of Rolodex that. And we did. And we got in the studio. We had a couple other titles floating around, but they didn't really hit home. And everybody kept coming back to the human condition. And it just kind of like, in a weird, non-cliche way, when I say it, it named itself in a way because, you know, John said it off the cuff. And then we start to look at all the songs that were on the record and all the lyrics, and we're like, man, this really does touch on that to a degree. And what a year to have it, you know, an album like that too, that says that, 'cause everybody's going through so many different emotions and conditions. It's like, it was perfect in a way.
Yeah. I mean, really, honestly, Justin, when you brought that up, all I could think of is like in my mind to know that it existed before where we're at too. Just I immediately was like, "That's a perfect idea," you know. But if you were there before you even got that, how much more unique and real?
Eerie in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you guys? So one of the things I've always loved about your band, well, I should say recently even more always loved about your band, is that you're producing your own records. You have your own studio. Did you make it in the same way that you did the last two records in Kentucky in your own studio, producing it yourself, or did you go somewhere else for this?
We did do it in Kentucky, and we self-produced it again. This time we recorded. John, our bass player, built a studio over the last couple of years. And it's
Gotcha.
It's in the middle of nowhere, and him and Chris really love studio stuff, and they love the learning about mics, microphones, and mic placement and pre all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? So they love that stuff. So John put a lot of time and effort into building a fantastic studio. Now we actually recorded we did a blues EP too that came out a couple years or last year, and it's things we do in between records, you know. And we did that there, and it's a perfect studio. It's in the middle of nowhere. He's got great equipment, and we went in there just we had no cell phone service. There's no television. There's nothing to keep you distracted from what we're there to do, and I really do enjoy that.
That's great. So the studio is in Kentucky, right? You guys are out right outside. Where are you at in Kentucky again?
So I live in a town called Glasgow, and the other guy, John lives close to me now. He just moved. He lives in Cave City, which is home of Mammoth Cave.
Yeah.
City, Horse Cave, and then John Fred and Chris live in Edmonton. But the studio is in a place called I can't even say it. Sulphur Well, Kentucky.
Is there a lot of sulfur there?
There is a sulfur like reservoir type thing. You can sample the sulfur water out of a tap. It's pretty bizarre, but it's in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't even get there after the first 5 times me being there, because it's like you have to turn on this road, then go down this. It's bizarre.
Wow.
But we love it, and he did a great job with it, and it's kind of like our little hideaway, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Ben, I had a couple of questions. I'm sorry, Chad.
No.
I just had a couple questions. Obviously, with the new album, you've got the 2 songs that are out right now, "Ringing in My Head" and "Again." Do you feel like these are just a kind of a continuity of what you did with the last 2 or 3 records? I mean, like Family Tree in Kentucky. Did you just kind of feel that you guys have, this is our sound and this is what we're kind of sticking to? Because you guys do mix in a lot of elements that could be considered like, and don't modern hip hop to a certain extent on some of the way some of the lines are saying.
Sure.
And obviously, there's a lot of country artists that borrow heavily from what you guys do. Like, I can never get past Southern Fried Friday Night. And I'm like, you know what? If this was a Luke Bryan song, it'd be friggin' a smash.
Right.
And
Well,
a lot of those bands, I hear a lot of those bands, those country bands, and I'm thinking, well, that sounds like what Blackstone's doing.
Yeah.
Is there a certain sound you guys have just cemented yourself on, and this we're going with? Because the 2 new tracks feel like they're very, they're very, what's the word, continuity with your guys' stuff you've done in the past.
I think
I guess what I'm asking, is there a need to ever branch out? I mean, to kind of try something completely different.
with us, what we've done is with each album, like we're influenced by so many different genres of music, from obviously rock and blues, especially, and
Yeah, big
we
time.
love reggae, we love hip hop, we love heavy metal, country. I love gospel music. It's like in rockabilly. There's so much different stuff that we listen to. It's crazy. We've never really said we have to be this one form of band. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you just get bored. It's like, well, I've written the same riff and drop D 1,000 times. What are we gonna do next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with us, we're always rooted in rock and roll, of course. But we kind of will sprinkle in some different things. Like we've had songs that might be more country rock leaning, and then we've had songs that are more blues rock leaning. I think with this record, we kind of said, are you back?
Oh,
Sorry.
I thought we played a clip for him, and I'm like, oh man, this is
Somebody
good.
tried to
He's
call
like,
me.
Bam! Let me drop
Sorry.
this hit on you right now.
With this record, we were like, look, man, we need to kind of, we were just ready to make like a more of a hard rock record, and also we're never going to sacrifice the ballads. We love writing. We love writing ballads because emotionally we have lyrics that are more fit for those type songs than the heavy songs. But I think after the last few, we just kind of said, let's make it more, just a raw rock and roll record that is, not, I don't want to say stripped down, because it's got there's lots of great elements on this stuff that we haven't done before. But if anything, I think this album sounds more like our first 3 albums put together than anything else.
Yeah, returning to your roots. And I'm sorry, Chad, I had to follow it up to this.
Yeah,
and I hate to put you guys in this position, but this is where when people think of you guys, is there a responsibility to bands like Blackstone and maybe Blackberry Smoke to kind of uphold this Southern rock tradition?
I mean, people have said that before and asked us about that before, and I think that, we're gonna have that Southern thing about us. We can't wash that off of us if we tried. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
we can try to sound one way, we can try to do this and this and this, but it's just in our DNA. It's in the way we talk and the way we play and the way Chris sings. It's just the way it is. But I do think that genre for a minute there, back in the 70s, it was huge, and especially in the mid-late 70s. I mean, you had Skinner and Molly Hatchet and Blackfoot and Wet Willie, all these incredible bands.
I can't believe you mentioned Wet Willie. That's great.
Yeah, I didn't
Willie's
think that was
awesome.
going to come next. Yeah.
Yeah, Allman Brothers, of course, and it's like and then that kind of the genre kind of faded out, of course, and then now it's kind of made a resurgence to a degree. So if people think that we have the capability to continue that on, then we're forever grateful for that, because that's a genre that's very close to us.
Well, you can't escape a great groove and a great lyric. So, and
Sure.
if that's what Southern rock's tradition is, then you know what? That's a good place to be stuck. Per
Right.
se.
You're exactly
So
right.
yeah, yeah. So, thanks, Chad. Give me that time. I did. I just had this question because I know I was like, man, as soon as I talk to Ben, I got to ask him this one thing.
No, I
Oh,
appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
You
dude.
can toss me to the side whenever you want. My questions are usually just generally aimed at poo poo pee pee jokes, but trying to reel it in tonight for Ben because
Sure, I
I have
appreciate
so
it.
much respect for you. So I do have some questions about the record. I'm gonna throw the record up on the screen so when people at home are looking for it on Spotify when it does release or whatnot. The record. I haven't listened to anything besides the 2 songs that have been out, and like he said, I noticed a little change. The meat and potatoes of your band, where you started, the nuts and bolts of putting it all together as kids, really shows from those first 3 records to the transitional phases to now where you are here.
Right.
You guys have been a band though, and put out this is your 7th full length, correct?
It is.
And how long have you? Original 4 members, nobody else has left, nobody else has come in, that whole entire the idea of we're bros before hoes to the very end, man.
Sure.
How do you have to be very prideful in this, man. I don't know if you are, but as you know, as we've toured so many times individually, we've seen bands change members over and over and over again. How did you guys maintain 7 records from Kentucky and with 4 dudes being best of friends the entire time? What's the secret?
That's one of the most things that I'm proud of among everything that we've been able to do, whatever venue or recollection, whatever we've gotten. The fact that we're still the 4 dudes. We started. I was 15 when we started. I'm 34 now.
Yeah.
And it was in 2001, and it's been the same 4 guys. And people have asked us before, like, what has been the secret? What has been the deal? And I was like, I don't know if it's an exact secret or a formula. I said, but our thing has always been that we are friends before we're a band. And that's been the thing that's kept us going, is that we love each other and we love each other's families, and we're there for each other in good times, bad times, band business, non-band business. And that's an important thing, is that we care about each other's mental health and well-being and each other's families' well-being before we care about, Blackstone Cherry. And I think that's what's kept us cohesive and kept us humble and kept us together. The minute you start looking at each other just as a colleague or somebody you need to also do your job, then it gets kind of weird then, And we split everything equally. We've always done that, from the beginning. I could write a song right now 100% by myself and show it to the band, and if Blackstone Cherry is going to record it, then that song is getting split 4 ways, and vice versa. If Chris or John Ferrer was to do it, and that's just the way we said, look, we're friends, we're all on the same team.
That's some Nashville shit.
Everything's equal, and it's just the way we've been. I'm super proud of that.
Yes, I mean seriously, dude. Like that, there's the secret. I think you just kind of if you said there's not a secret, the secret really is treating each other like equals in every way, shape, or form. Because one hand will definitely wash the other at some point, right? You know, you might be non-band related. You might be stuck on the side of the road, 100 miles away from home. Truck's broke down. You don't know. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't know anybody here. You barely got a cell phone signal. All you can say is mile marker, this highway, please help. Those motherfuckers are going to be one of those motherfuckers, whoever picked up their phone at that point in time, are going to come. And
you're absolutely right.
You start putting those transactional things, in the way of that, it's going to be the one who shares the more of that pie that actually comes out and gets you. And I just have to say, like you said, I'm just proud to hear that can exist and know you guys and just be.
Well, thank you.
You guys are beacons to that. So I mean, there's very few of them. I look at Seven Dust the same way. Even with Clint stepping away and coming back. And that whole entire version of their nucleus. I mean, good or bad.
Right.
I think it bears.
I appreciate that.
I think it bears the fact you keep production in house. You got a team. Agent management also have to be on board with that kind of mindset. So that whole unit is not just the band; it's everyone that's in that periphery. And as Chad mentioned, Seven Dust is a great example. But then you can take someone like Iron Maiden. they think that way too. It's a
Yeah.
family. They kept the same crew for 30 years.
Yeah, and that's
This
like
is
us too.
for-
Like even our crew
Yeah.
members, our crew members are family. Like we never, like when we've hired people in, we're like, look, you're either part of the family or you can't, or you're not a part of the family. You know what I mean? We've
Yeah.
never hired crew members in just to be temporary dudes that we can just recycle through. We just don't believe in that. And you know, I know sometimes that's easier said than done. But it's like if we're gonna have somebody on the bus living with us, we're trusting them. You know, we never say that they work for us. They work with us. We're all doing this together. You know, so our crew members, like we text them. We have a big group text, and we text just each other about random things all the time. You know, even non-music related. It's like we love each other. Like my wife and I were at the mall the other day, and me and our guitar tech Junior, we love scary movies. We love Halloween. And I was in Spencer Gifts, and big up to Spencer Gifts. Hadn't been in there since I was like in middle school, when it was like I was afraid to go in there. And I go in there, and they have this classic Halloween Michael Myers meets Jaws T-shirt. And I immediately sent it to Junior, our guitar tech. I said, buddy, you got to, you know, Spencer Gifts, go right now. He texted me back later and was like, I went over there and got it. You know, this is the way we are. We're like, it's not just like we're friends on the road. We're friends on the road, off the road, all the time.
Well, it all comes back to the one big word, trust.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
That's a great segment, man. That's a really good segment. I think a lot of artists need to hear that. You know, that was good. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
I don't want to expand on it too much because I have a lot of, I mean, you have a lot of stuff going on that I want to talk about it. But I want to say something as Justin mentioned it. You talked about management and the family and the team that you put around you. I'm managed by Vin, right?
Right.
You're managed by Vin. In the Hailstorm camp, same. Indigo, Bill, and those cats with Vin over there. That is family. And when you find those team members that will stick up for you, put their fists in the air for you, and also listen to you when you want to do something that's probably not the best idea for your career, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey man, I'm there. You know, like you mouthed off in a bar, and you're like, fuck, you're talking to some chick, and you just gotta walk away. Hey, 1 second, my friend needs me, and you don't even know who the fuck that person is on the other side that he's yelling at. But you're like, bam, you know, and you walk. I mean, that's a little bit of aggressive version. I come from a small town where that shit happened all the time, and I was like, no, don't do that, guys, we're good, you know. But the idea, what you explained, is it's all part of the process, and now it makes a lot of sense. So thank you for giving us a little bit of an inclination of what you're all about, you know.
Hey, absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. And you're right. You have to have, if you're, you know, even beyond the band and crew, then goes to the team, the management, the label, booking agents. They all have to understand the ethos of the way that the band works, you know. And it's like, you know, Vinny is a great guy. We love Vinny, and Bambino now works with us over there. And it's like, man, those guys, they just know the in and outs of the band. They know each other. They know our you know, our strengths, our weaknesses, and you know, it's important for people to understand the people behind the music. You know what I mean? It's not just a product. You know, if you're going to work with us as a career, you have to understand us. You have to understand us as people, and vice versa. We have to understand them as people. So you know, it's like it's a whole cohesive thing. And if that cohesive doesn't match, then you got to fix it. And that'd be my one piece of advice for anybody. If you think anything is not sticking, you need to fix it.
Yeah. Huge. If you're listening, if anybody out there is trying to start a band or started a band and can't figure out what the next move is, just look internally. There's somebody in your friend group that is there willing. They might not have the biggest name at that point in time, but they will, because you work together.
Sure. Start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, Justin got another question from the.
No, I was gonna kind of go into what obviously the band is known for prolific album releases, but you guys are a live band, man. You guys are you hang your hat on being this incredible live band. And I gotta tell you, man, real quick, I referred to it earlier in some social media we did. Your live show this last 2020 in the theater was off the charts. Just total energy, exciting. And it was definitely one of those things where you kind of step back, working the cruise long enough, going, yep, I fucking levitated that night. That was a great fucking show.
Thank you.
So that was great, man.
That whole cruise was, man, I mean, you guys know. I mean, it's like, you can't say enough good things about it. And this last year was so good. I wish now, just like I'm sure you and every band on that boat could go back and do that cruise over again. Because little did we know a month from then, you know, we had like 4 shows after that, like literally 4 shows once we got off the boat, and that's been our last show of the year. February 15th is our last show.
Dude, if we would have known then, we would have said, "Hey, Captain, can you mind turning the freaking boat around? Well, let's redo this. One more lap."
I think we would still be out there at sea, actually.
Yeah.
No, but
these
what I
motherfuckers are not
wanted to
coming
talk
back
about
in.
was obviously, real quick, and I talk about live show at some point because I know Chad has some interesting questions we talked about before we went live. Have you guys thought about maybe looking at something like doing something virtual for the album, or maybe doing some drive-in type of shows that other bands are undergoing right now? Is it something that might be on the radar?
Yeah, for sure. We are working on both of those things. It's just
Okay.
I'm not at liberty to announce them.
Absolutely.
But
Just like to know that.
I'll say this: we have been since the beginning of this. We've been like, okay, once the album was done, it got mixed, and we found out that, and that part of the process was done, and we found out that all of our shows were getting canceled or postponed. We said, okay, now we go into wartime. What do we do? We can't sit around and mope and go, oh man, we're just gonna set this one out. Say, okay, now that we've set it out for a few months, like, okay, now what? We have to think. We have to be proactive. We have to think ahead of the game here. How can we get out there in front of people in some way? So we do have some things up our sleeve. I know that's so cliche. I hate being that guy. We got some things I can't say. I hate that. But it's like
He shakes them out. They just fall out.
Man,
He's
there's
like,
a legality to it. We get it. There's
It's a beef
But-
jerky stick.
trust me, we are a band that likes to work. Our band likes to work, and we like to do what we love, and that's been taken from us for a while. So we have some things that we're excited about that are coming out.
If I didn't ask this question, there's this shiprocker Daniel. He's kind of a legend, urban legend. His name's Daniel Fireball because he seems to love the cinnamon stuff.
Gotcha.
Anywho, he keeps asking this question. He won't get off. He goes, "When you go live, is there a way you could just play the towns that are allowing live shows?" I had to put it out there. That's your question to answer. Or
You know
we can
what?
just say-
We've thought about that too, and the reason that can prove difficult to a degree is that if when a booking agent is looking at putting a show together, let's say somewhere in Illinois has a venue that is allowing or has a venue big enough that can allow for indoor social distancing, right? And they can put on the show safely, and the government approves of it. Okay, that's a show in Illinois. They're able to give us X amount of dollars to go up there and do it. Then the next nearest place that's available that can do something like that is maybe 700 miles away. It proves to be difficult then because it becomes less cost effective, because we have to pay for the bus, we have to pay for our crew. So it's harder where you could go, I'm going to play Chicago tonight, then we're going to go like at a suburb of Chicago the next night, and then they right together. Now everything is so kind of sporadically spaced out as things are reopening. It's hard to book like a run of shows, but if there's a place out there, a venue or a city or state that is allowing that can, when we can get there and it makes sense, for sure, we'll go do it.
Yeah, otherwise it's a routing nightmare. So
yes, and I can't imagine.
That's 700 miles. You need to throw in your usual route would be we'll sprinkle in 3 or 4 shows until we get to our next, Portland or wherever you're is after Chicago. So
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Daniel, I hope that answers your question. It's just kind of logistically hard.
It is hard.
So, all right.
The only people who pay that logistically hard price are the fans, because at the end of the day, it's the ticket price, right? That generates the income to cover the overhead, to pay the band, everything, right?
Right.
And the band can't walk away with $0.
Right.
The whole point is to keep moving. So if you think about it, what you just said, and then you think about that 700 miles of travel and the days that it'll take to get to said places, that income that you're paying your crew and the bus and all that stuff would only have to be, could only be made up by the ticket cost to the fan. And that's not fair. So it's like it's a consistent, it's a consistent version of like, how do we get around this one hurdle? But one hurdle comes to 10. Dan, I hear you. I'm a talent buyer. I don't know if you know this about me, Ben, but like, so I could talk about this all of the time because it's my work right now. For instance, I'm able to do drive-in theaters in Michigan, but unless there's something around me that can do the same and it's cost effective, I don't have a shot in the dark, right? Just can't come in for one day.
Hey, I don't know why you haven't sent us an offer yet there.
It just happened today. It's coming. I for sure just called.
I bet it is. I'm
so
teasing.
I know for sure, but for real though, I wanted to ask you because talking about live stuff, you've your band has toured with some monumental acts over your career. I'm talking like Def Leppard, Alice Cooper, Nickelback, Whitesnake, Chicken Foot. You know, like the list goes on, and then and then yeah, then on top of that, your growth from those 7 albums, specifically in the UK and overseas, you're a fucking arena band. You know, that's like I don't even know how many rock bands in the United States of America are actually arena bands in those spaces. Throughout your entire touring existence as a band, I have 2 questions. One, do you have a favorite tour that wasn't your own headlining, like a supporting slot? I mean, that's a lot of time to cover, so I don't expect you to like, you know, throw anybody under the bus, you know, here, but by picking one and not the other. But and the second part of it is, do you have a favorite? I don't even know if it would be a favorite. Do you have a memory from those the first tour when you were playing in those size spaces when it was Blackstone's Cherries show, not Alice Cooper's?
Right. I mean, just because it was somewhat recent, one of our favorite support tours we've done in several years has been the Alice Cooper tour we did. And that was it sucks because my Facebook is sending me daily memories. Because it was this time last year we were on it. And it was all across Europe, and now I'm getting like daily memories popping up going, you were in Paris. Look at you being great last year. You know? Facebook needs to say, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
You were great last year.
You were great last year, but now, nope.
It's like Netflix's little reminder. Are you sure you want to continue watching? You're like, oh man, I should go to bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our 7-day trial has run its course.
Yeah.
The Alice Cooper tour was great because he is just a phenomenal person. Like, not only is he a great entertainer, like he as a person, as a human being, his wife and him and his whole band and crew, amazing. And that tour was just so cool because like getting to watch his show every night was like watching Halloween come to life. And it was awesome. And we loved every single minute of that. Also, I have to say, like, I still have great memories from one of our first tours ever in 2006. We were supporting Buckcherry and we were touring in a Yukon. It was like our first album hadn't even come out yet. And we were out there supporting them. That was our first time really hitting the road. You know what I mean? Like leaving home. It was just 4 band. We had 2 crew guys that were just our buddies. And we put like 45,000 miles on this Yukon in 4 months. And we went up to Canada and we went all across the U.S. In some great places. And I remember that tour being so fun because we would stop anytime we wanted to pull the Yukon over at a truck stop or a hotel or anything, you know. We lived it up. We loved every single minute of it. So I still have a lot of fond memories from those early days of just being so naive and new, and just everything was exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
Now there's growth from 2006 in a Yukon to 2019 playing Wembley. That's kind of like,
well,
yeah.
I tell you, and you asked about some of our own shows. Our first ever arena tour we did was in 2014. And that was our first arena tour. And it was like, man, when you pull into Wembley and I remember getting off the bus that morning and, I remember actually, I'll go back the first night of the tour, seeing like 3 tour buses and all these semi trucks, things that you would normally see at somebody else's show. And you go, wait a second here. This is our stuff. This is like these semi trucks are here because of us. And these, but not because of us, like, you know what I mean? But, the reason they're here is because it's our stuff.
They're kind of
But,
different.
I don't ever want to come off, condescending when I say that. But
no, of course not.
That was super humbling to go, oh my gosh, like, and also nerve wracking, it's like, there's no, a support show, you might go, well, no matter how many people's out there, we'll blame it on the headliner for the lack of whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, this is our show. And it was just super bizarre and, just an incredible blessed feeling going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this the reason these people are out here right now is because of our band. Because I think back to 2001 when we were playing Mexican restaurants, splitting $20 a piece. And it's like, dude, this is incredible.
Wow.
It's like what did Grohl say in that one documentary? He goes, he was sleeping and they realized that they were doing Wembley. He goes, he woke up. He goes, "Oh my God, we're playing Wembley."
I mean, yeah, they did. Yeah, it's like, man, that's just incredible. And it's like an out of body experience when you play, when you get on those stages. It's like a roller coaster. There's so much nerves leading up to it, and then it's like over before you know it, and you want to immediately do it again. You know.
So speaking of the way, that's a perfect segue, by the way, Ben. Shiprock. Let's talk about. You guys have been almost a house band for us, thank God. You, Seven Dustin Wilson, have like played that thing multiple times.
Yeah.
And your experience the first time you ever played it, and then this as compared to like the last time you guys rolled through.
First time is a great story. We did it. It was its second year, and it was when it was half chartered.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on the it was on MSC cruise line, MSC Poesia, I think it was.
With those beautiful the 10 o'clock pizza bar closed.
Yeah. Well, this is a funny joke. So the boat was the MSC. I think it was. We called it the Poesia. It could just be us being Southern, but
you know, we call it now the Never Again.
Well, here's what we called it. We called it the MSC Poesia shit. Well, look, and it was a good boat, but it was so bizarre with it being half chartered.
Sure.
Because as you guys know, half of it's rock and roll fans, half of it's like pleasure cruisers who got a great discount. And it was like us and Tesla and Vince Neil and some other artists. But it was cool because it was only our second cruise we'd ever done. And it was like we were just excited to be on open water playing a show. It's like, come on, you can't really complain at the end of the day,
Yeah.
You can't complain about just eating hot dogs and fries every single day. It's like, whatever.
Your butthole can.
Yeah. So that was our first experience, and then we did it again. I think it was 20.
Man, it bleeds into each other.
I think it was 2013 we did it because Korn was I can't remember who was on there, but anyway. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this thing has gotten so much bigger all of a sudden. It went from being half chartered to sold out before the announcement, before the lineups even announced. Just like this year or this past year, it's like, man, this was insane. I just know that I'm proud of y'all's team and Alan, everything that y'all have accomplished over the years, because to see it start from our first time playing it to what it is now, it's become like a world-renowned festival at sea. It went from something just catching on to now it's like people, this is what people spend their savings. This is their vacation one time a year. Yeah. And it's just an incredible testament to the dedication people have to the environment that you all create on the boat and the activities and the music. And it's just, there's no fuss, there's no fight, not that I saw anyway, and that's a good thing. It might happen. But as long as the people don't have to be involved in it or don't know about it, they're there to have a great time, and I think it's great. So
man,
pat yourself on the back.
Man, that really means a lot coming from you, because we're such well-respected artists and friend, obviously, of Asphorn and all of us. And so, I mean, Ben, that means a lot to us, and obviously means a lot to the Shiprockers, because they're the ones that provide that environment that make it so rich and fun and just really suitable for artists to come on and have a good time. And what was your experience like with Shiprockers the first time? Obviously the half ship is kind of a weird thing, so that's almost out of play. Like the first time you did the full ship.
Yeah, I have to know like what that felt like,
That was awesome, because to see because the first cruise we'd ever done was a VH1 cruise, and it was like a pop rock cruise. It was like us and Three Doors Down, and Shinedown was on there too, and Lifehouse, and so it's kind of a mixture of pop rock bands, and I don't know how we even got that cruise, to be honest with you, but we did. And then then we did the Shiprock. So to do a full boat, just like essentially rock and hard rock fans, it was like, okay, this feels kind of like home here, because people are all there, and everybody, all the fans that go on that ship are supporting every single set. You know what I mean? There's not you don't have like the crude fans that turn their back because it's not the band they came to see. They're all there to have a good time and love everybody's performance. And it's just, it's incredible. There's no better feeling than playing a show on the boat, and then you walk off what I do as I go dry off, I immediately go to the buffet because I'm starving, and then we get cocktails and we hang out all night. It's like that is paradise.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good hang.
It's a good hang.
Seriously.
Yeah. So we want to do this thing. We want to talk to you. Obviously, you guys have been doing the record, and that was kind of like your downtime for COVID. Even though there was really a downtime, you guys just were making a record. But during that time, you and your wife have been busy with two things we'd like to talk about. The first is we'll just keep it. First thing is the Surf Monster, the surf apparel. What's going on with that? What there, Chad? Look at that, amazing.
Look at him go.
No big deal.
What brought that on? Are you a surfer? You just like the beach thing, or it was just something you saw that you wanted to always do?
You know, it's something I've wanted to do for several minutes actually. I don't want to say a minute because but you know, you have to have time to dedicate to something like this. You know,
Yes.
so normally I've had the idea in my head for a while. But when you're on the road, if you're going to try to start another business, or especially an apparel business, it's hard, you know? So when I found out again that most of our shows were being canceled, I remember telling Jessica, my wife, I said, look, you know, I have to keep myself creatively busy. I cannot just sit on my hands this year. I said, so I'm going to take this time and I'm going to devote it to another passion of mine, which is starting this apparel line, because we both love the beach. We both love. I love the culture, the surf culture. I love it. I love watching the videos. I love watching the professional riders on the internet. I love the whole tiki culture, the beach, all that kind of stuff is so up my alley. And also I love like old horror movies. So that's one.
Hence the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. So that's how the name came about, Surf Monster. And then I started thinking about it. My original concept was to just do monsters meet surf. And I was like, well, I don't want to back myself into a corner so much because that might run itself dry pretty soon. I said, I'm just going to make a lifestyle brand. And a surf monster, anybody could be a surf monster, whether you're on, you know, if you're a wakeboarder or a skier or whatever, you know, it's all about just being on the appreciating and loving the lifestyle of the water and the vacation escapism. So essentially that's how it got started. And we launched it in August after several months of planning it and hiring and working with different illustrators and designers, because all the designs we do are 100% original to the brand. You know, there's nothing is stock taken from internet. Nothing is like that, you know. It's all original. So if people want that design, it has to be from Surf Monster. And it's been exciting, man. I have loved it. I've had a blast doing it. We both love looking at different designs and T-shirts, and we actually have our fall line of stuff. We got some hoodies and some long sleeves, and a woman's crew neck comes out on Monday next week. Excited about that.
No, so that's going to be, is that surfmonster.com then for people who want to check out the stuff and maybe pick up some threads?
It's surfmonsterstore.com.
So surfmonsterstore.com. I'm sure Heather will get that up on the feed here, and we'll always try to help promote it as best we can.
Thank you.
No, listen, the beach culture thing, I mean, that's year round. And people are like, well, it's not coastal if you're in Kentucky. I'm like, there's riverways, there's lakes. Everyone's doing everything in boats. There's surf boats. Yep. Hell, in Louisiana,
also,
man, we
there's
have surf
planes,
boats.
you know, that'll take you.
Oh, we have spent so much time.
Yeah, there's a plane, you know, plane.
Yeah. We spent so much time on the lake this year. It's been ridiculous. Yeah. We've loved it. And, you know, we go to bed every single night and I have a sound machine. We listen to the ocean. It's just like, it's just such a peaceful thing. To me, it calms me down, and I just love it. So,
do you ever take a conch shell and listen to it and see what you can hear? You can really hear the ocean still in there, I swear.
You can.
Yeah, dude, for sure, man. There's something.
I love it.
Now, the other thing, obviously, is it's kind of a different thing. It's the Henry and Clark Foundation. And you want to tell people what this is about, because it's pretty in-depth. And obviously, I mean, we're all big animal rescue folks, and I think everyone there has a dog or a cat, obviously. With the children aspect of it right now, what we're seeing is an absolute epidemic of child trafficking and everything. And I don't want to get too heavy here, but let's be honest and truthful what's going on. So you guys coming along with this, I definitely think it's something that people need to hear about. So if you'd like to tell us about that.
Yeah, this idea came about October of last year. We were on the road. And I called Jessica and I said, hey, you might think I'm crazy, but I have this wild idea. I want to start a nonprofit organization, and I want to call it the Henry and Clark Foundation. and I want to do it about. I want it to go towards animals of all kind, obviously pets, obviously dogs and cats and things of that nature, but also like wildlife, marine life, especially. You know, because look, every time we get a thing from, if we get like some drinks from Walmart or whatever, and it comes in those plastic ring things, it's important. We always make sure you cut those holes, you know, because that stuff, people might think it matters, but when you see those videos of a turtle getting their neck stuck through a Pepsi ring, it makes you sad. So cut those, put them in the trash. Anyway, we want to help out all kinds of animals. And then she was obviously immediately on board, and she has a huge passion for helping young kids, young teens. She's a character coach through FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She does that for like volleyball and basketball and stuff like that. So she was like, well, let's also incorporate kids that might be less fortunate or struggling or dealing with a foster care situation or whatnot. So we married the two of them together, and that's what the foundation is about. And so we were able to do some really cool stuff before the pandemic. Some of the pandemic did shut some of our ideas down, but last Christmas we did a whole big dog and cat food drive to our local animal shelter with leashes and toys and food. And then in March the 1st of March of this year, we Nashville and some surrounding counties in Tennessee was hit by a terrible tornado, and we were able to help those shelters down there because they had a lot of stray animals that got lost, and the shelters were getting flooded with people's animals, and they didn't have enough food to care for them. So our hometown helped us raise a bunch of money and supplies, and then we did an Easter basket thing around Easter for local kids that might not normally get an Easter basket on Easter Sunday. So we just try and do cool stuff like that. You know, we've learned that everybody wants to help and everybody wants to give. You just kind of, sometimes you have to kind of put that in front of people's faces, you know, and I'm guilty of that as well. So we said, look, let's start a foundation and a nonprofit that we can do stuff and give back and use our platform to give back in a positive way.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I think philanthropy is a complete extension for anyone who has a creative mindset and creative direction. I mean, it's just because obviously it's all about giving to the greater good.
Sure.
So listen, that's amazing. And people can find you again. Can you give us the website again, please?
Yeah, it's the Henry and Clark Foundation.org. Okay. And both Henry and Clark Foundation, that's on Instagram and Facebook. If you just search that, and just Surf Monster is as well too. But you know, I love I have a bad habit. It's a blessing and a curse with overwhelming myself with stuff. But I wouldn't have it any other way, I don't think, you know?
Well, you know, that comes to a question that comes to, like, you go back at the end of the day, it goes back to branding. I mean, there's a branding for bands, there's a branding for people. And I think this is part of your brand now, Ben.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It keeps me busy, keeps me creative, keeps me active. And that's what I need.
Yeah,
absolutely. Chad, what do you have from? Let's get back. Let's get back to the music. But that was great. Thanks, Ben. It's always great to see artists branching out and doing things, and a lot of them are doing some incredible things. So thank you for being part of that fraternity.
I appreciate the support on that. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's two things I just wanted to mention. One of those things is my first tour ever was in a Yukon as well with Wilson. We had done the same exact, literally word for word what you were saying, like driving around, putting all the miles on. I mean, who sat in the back? I want to ask, who sat in the very back, the fifth row or the third row?
I think we rotated it, like whoever, because that had like maybe more space to lay down in, you know, but it was always like pillow on top of the next guy on top of pillow, you know, it's just the way it was. Yeah.
You had 4 members. Did you have anybody touring with you on that tour?
Yeah, there was 4 of us plus 2. At the time, we had 2 crew guys that were our buddies that we took out. So they mainly drove a lot. They would sit up front and drive, and then we had like a cooler in the back. And then we would eat cereal. I remember we had cereal and milk. We put it in a cooler with ice, and we had solo cups because we didn't want to keep bowls and a bunch of stuff. So we would put cereal in a solo cup and eat it out of that, and then we had a trash bag, and then it was ridiculous, but that's how we had to make do, you know.
My favorite part of my least favorite part, but also favorite part of that period of time was ramen packets, and then you crack them up, and then you take just a tiny bit of water and you put it in the pack with the chicken flavored whatever powder. You shake it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then they're just chicken flavored chips.
Oh, I like that. Look at you being innovative.
Every once in a while, I bust that move out when I'm like, "Where's the green room?" And they're like, "There's not one." I'm like, "No big deal. Got a backpack full of ramen, or whatever."
I'm already full.
Yeah, don't look at me, man. I really just wanted to talk about, there was something beyond the Shiprock experience, because it's a whole world completely different than anything else that has ever been. Right, a cruise ship, rock and roll adventure. But you guys moving back to this moment of playing arenas like Wembley in the UK, and then the humbling experience of coming back and touring in the US, which has nothing to do with anything else, in my opinion, anything else other than what rock and roll does in certain different demographics and geographical locations. Like when you can speak the Kentucky language, right? This idea over in these arenas in Wembley, and then coming back and doing the same thing and playing the clubs and theaters here. What do you think that there is? What's the difference? What's happening? What's the mentality? You see it before anybody else, so please tell us, please.
People have asked us that before, honest to God, and we've talked about it with other bands before. That kind of might share the same feelings. And the only thing I can attribute it to is that I know, like, rock and roll in Europe is still like the cat daddy. You know what I mean?
I love cat daddy. I'm using that forever now. Yeah. Thank you.
Whereas in the U.S., maybe it's more hip hop or country are the two, and pop, of course, are the big things. I'm not saying rock is dead. I'm never going to be one of those people who says that. But it's like, those are the guys that reign supreme in the U.S., I've talked to people that live in London before that have never heard the name Garth Brooks, if that puts it in perspective. But they can tell you who David Coverdale is and what he wore in 1984.
Yeah.
I need to meet that person and buy them a beer.
Yeah, so that's the weird difference. So, and also they still have there's so many outlets in Europe. There's rock magazines. Yeah. They still play music
physical.
Videos. Yes, physical.
Yeah.
They're still playing music videos on TV. Their radio is different than here. There are stations over there that are so many rock oriented stations and this, and it's like, and there's the U.S. has some great festivals too. Don't get me wrong at all, but Europe, we got a lot of the ideas in the U.S. from the European festivals. Yeah, so Europe's been doing these rock festivals for years. It's just a thing. It's just it's still really, really big over there. And I think that when you go over there as a band, like for us, we were so nervous and naive. We didn't know what to do our first tour over there. We weren't trying to go over there and be Black Sabbath or the Rolling Stones just because we thought, well, if we act English, maybe they'll like us. It was like, no, we were like just four Southern dudes that were just scared, and I think the fans appreciated that. Over the years,
honesty.
They've seen our transparency. We're very transparent. We're open about everything. I think they respect that, That can be the only thing I contribute to, is that our transparency to the audience there, and the fact that Europe still has a lot of outlets for rock to be discovered.
Yeah, the infrastructure is completely different.
Yeah,
absolutely. People in Belgium can come see your show in London or Edinburgh or whatever, like on a 2-hour flight or an hour flight or train ride or whatever. But you're right, though, Ben, mentioning publications, which are still a huge driver. Rock and prog, they all come out of the London, as far as like any of those kind of big magazines, whether it's Metal Hammer or whatever. What do we have over here now? Decibel, that's it.
Right.
And that's more about grindcore and the noise stuff, and not so much about straight ahead rock. So
yeah, now, a lot of the magazines you do see, like in a Barnes and Noble or something in the music section, they're all imports from over there.
Yeah,
they're all $15.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the clickbait that they're necessarily. There's more trust. We talked about trust earlier, and I feel like touring over there, I've seen it in my own version. It's like people trust what the editors in chief are putting into their mags. Like, they took the time to listen, and they didn't focus on the clickbait or the advertising dollars. It happens, but it's not the main driver, you know?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea that you can be both, you know, and then coming back here. Yeah.
It keeps us very humble and it keeps us level. And honestly, there is so much to appreciate about both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, man, you know, playing the arenas is incredible and it's fun. And it's like, you know, but then there's nothing that takes away the feeling of playing a small club where you can fist bump somebody in the front row. Like, you will never top that. So, you know,
that's where you get your chops from, right there. Those club shows.
I love both of them.
Yeah, they're like,
that's the funny thing
Shiprock is
American...
like those two things. Sorry, I just wanted to say ship.
No.
It feels like those two things. Like you get the verbose feeling, but you also get the sincerity of the honest to God, close appreciation. Not just the band, and not just the fan to the band, but the band to the fan. Like this is my people. You know, it's that's why I wanted to bring it up. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, Ben, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask this question. We ask everyone, first album and or first song that said, you know what, Ben, I'm going to be a musician. What was it?
Hound Dog, Elvis Presley.
Okay.
Really?
My biggest influence. This is the back of my phone. It's
wow.
King.
The
Elvis
Hawaiian
is my
years.
biggest inspiration. Biggest.
You went with the bold Hawaiian years. Was that something that your parents were kicking around the house, or you just sought this on your own?
It's so funny. Like literally, my obsession with Elvis has been like I used to grow up doing impersonations. Like I had a little jumpsuit I used to put on.
Can we hear an impersonation?
I can't. But I would say, well, you know, Black Stone Cherry has done a couple Elvis songs covers, you know, so you can find those on YouTube. That's all because of me.
So you can't give us a little bit of Elvis right now, a little Elvis snarl
I
right
can do
now?
a lip.
Hey.
But you know,
It's good.
That's what you get, folks. You get the lip.
no, my parents go. We don't. It's my mom and dad say we just remember him coming out of the womb, like just loving Elvis and watching Elvis movies. That's been my deal ever since the start.
Okay, let me ask you: are you pretty prolific and of all Elvis movies? You know all the stuff he's been in.
Oh sure.
What's the black and white? What was the black and white one where he's saying, "By the poolside, baby, you're so square, I don't care."
That's Jailhouse Rock.
Whoa.
Thank you. Okay, I didn't know.
Jailhouse Rock.
That's my favorite song by him.
1957.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
my favorite
quick
song.
though.
Yeah, but that video is fantastic.
He's wearing a great sweater in that scene, by the way.
With the pop collar and he's got and the girl and the blonde just kind of like doesn't move the whole time she's looking at him. It's just like he has no emotion.
Yeah,
Soulless.
that's the one.
That's the one. Okay, thank you.
Man.
Chad, we've had Ben now for an hour and 5 minutes. Is there anything you want to add? We want to get the gentleman back to his life.
Man, I mean, we touched on Shiprock. We touched on playing. I mean, I have 6 numbers points with like little questions underneath it, and we touched every one of them. You touched me so well. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Ben, I know you got to keep it under wraps right now, but I'm sure we'll hear from you guys when you guys decide to do something here before the end of the year, be it virtual or getting out to a special gig, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
you will. Yes.
And we always like to finish up. BlackstoneCherry.com, is that the website people can go to buy music or apparel?
That's the one.
All right, guys
That's
out
one.
there in Shiprock land, remember to keep supporting these guys. I mean, you'll have plenty of time, hopefully in 2021, to see them live. They are a touring entity. They're a machine. But until then, make sure and buy their music and buy a hoodie. It's getting into fall time.
That's
We're
right.
past the equinox.
Please do.
Anyway,
That's right.
Ben, thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for all this, man, and everything you're doing. Good luck with Surf Monster and the Henry and Clark Foundation. We're going to support you guys along the way on that one. And of
Thank
course,
you.
we look forward to Hallows Eve. You're going to have the new album, Human Condition, comes out.
We're excited about that. Man, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to
Absolutely.
speak to y'all tonight. And we love the Shiprock family. We love you guys, and hopefully we'll see y'all and give you a big group hug very soon.
We love
Sloppy
that. Hey,
kiss.
before we let you go, we're actually going to keep it once we sign off here. But everyone in Shiprock land, we have a belated birthday for Mr. Al McManus. You guys all know Al, father extraordinaire, incredible husband,
What?
baseball dad.
I feel like an asshole.
I don't. And he's also our operation manager. You guys know Al from the crew. So happy birthday to Al. I don't know. I'm going to say Al is
22.
I'm going to go with Al being 47.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm going to go with 47. So Al, correct me if I'm wrong later. So happy birthday, Al. Ben, once again, my friend, thank you. And please say hi to the band for us.
Yeah,
I will.
please.
You know, you guys are super special in your family. So we appreciate everything.
Thank you guys
Thank
very
you
much.
again.
Thank you.
All right, guys, in Shiprock Lane, also stay tuned on Friday. We'll have our next announcement of our next guest for next week's Making Waves 12. So until then, Ben, all the best. Chad, and everyone at Shiprock Lane, thanks for joining in tonight, guys. We appreciate everything, and take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Fellas.
Bye.